Hey guys. Excuse me. Hope you all are doing well for this weird day of Facebook Live. Um, so I wanted to do a embroidered towel. This is a bathroom towel for you guys. Because someone, and I think her name was, I believe it was Felicia, if you're on here, hey Felicia, who is new to embroidering, asked, how do we do that? And it's much easier to do a video than type it all out. Now, my disclaimer is everybody does this differently. So this is the way I do them. I find a lot of success with them. So, you know, if if you do it a different way, totally cool. That's awesome. This is just the way that I have done them for years. And when I worked, I managed a embroidery business for a couple years. This is how we did them, and they just seem to come out right, or nice, and because there's no right and wrong way. Some people use a wash away stabilizer, some people use a tear away. You should be using a topper, and I'm going to talk about that, the differences in toppers. And so I just wanted to kind of go through that with you, and even the measurements. Now I'm doing this on the Meridian, so Meridian / Altair owners. We're going to use the positioning stickers to help us out with this. This is kind of a cool technique if you have not used your positioning stickers. If you would do this very similar way on the Solaris, except for you would use the camera. For the Meridian and Altair, we're going to use the... So weird, just got a phone call during this, of course. That's always happening. So I just want to, help out as much as I can. So hopefully for Felicia and for you guys who've never done this, this will be a good little video for you. I will be taking you back and forth from my table to my cutting table to my Meridian, so we can see my whole process. So I'm just going to do the whole process, even all the way through stitch out. So I'm glad you joined me today. If you have any questions, like normal, if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask. And again, remember, I am never the end-all be-all. There are many ways to do this. This is just the way I do it. So with that being said, let's get started. Okay, so first I'm going to just take you over to the machine real quick and show you the design that I'm going to do. It is a built-in font, and you can do any fonts. You can do purchase fonts, you can do monograms. I'm just going to do one big old letter on mine. So since I haven't done that on the hand towel that I have for the house, as you know, when you're an educator, a teacher, or anything like that, or even just a sewer in general, you hardly make things for yourself. You never have time. So I'm actually going to do this for our bathroom. Yay. Jason will finally be like, oh, we got something. So let's go over to the machine and let's just talk about the design that I got pulled up. Yeah, Gail, the positioning stickers are pretty darn cool. So, hey, Jacqueline. Jackie. You go by Jackie or Jacqueline. I don't know. Okay, so, yeah. So, the positioning stickers are pretty cool. When I was teaching out in the big world, before the Solaris came along and the Meridian and the Altair, we taught using the positioning stickers, and they're so cool. I really, really like them. I'm actually going to use them today, but I'm going to offset the positioning sticker because I want to show you a technique of why you would want to use them. So you can be the worst hooper in the world, and I'm a pretty bad hooper, so these stickers saved my embroidery many times. Okay, so let's jump on over here, and I've already got my design picked out, and what I chose was one of the fonts, one of the large fonts in the built-in fonts, and I really like this font collection. It's really pretty, and it goes with pretty much everything. It's, you know, it's cursive, yeah, but it's not too fancy, so I really like this one. So I chose that. It was a little too big for my liking. I like them around, 4 or 5 inches. When I brought it in, it was closer to 6 inches. So you can always change your size, as you know that. And luckily for us, with the Meridian and the Altaires and the Solaris, we do have that built-in digitizing capability. So anything you bring in, almost anything you bring in, you can select size and use what I like to call the digitizing button. It's not called that, but that's what I think of it as. So remember, when this button is selected right here, you can only size your design up to 20% and down 10% without stitch calculation. But when we use this button right here, the little, what I call digitizing button, what it does is you can enlarge your design up to 200% and reduce your size up down to 60% with stitch recalculation. And what that means is it adds stitches or it takes away stitches. Sorry, I want to turn on the fan. I'm getting a little flushed. So what I first want to do is note the size of my design. So up here it's going to tell me it's 4.69 by 5.06, and that generally means that the top button is going to be your length and your bottom button will be your width. So my length from here to here, is, let's say I'm going to round it up to 4.75. So I just need to remember that number, and we'll talk about why here in just a moment. I'm going to put my little stool up. So I'm happy with this. I'm going to take it over to my embroidery, but I'm also going to add a basting stitch around the design. And there's a reason why here in just a few moments that you'll see why I'm doing that. So when I'm in embroidery, I want to select layout, and then I want to select the little flower with the dotted line around it. And what that's going to do is draw a basting stitch around my design. And if you didn't see it earlier, I believe it was Jackie who posted earlier this week a great video about the basting stitch. And I'm going to show you that same technique because I think it's genius. It's this little bitty thing that can help you so much. So we'll talk about that when we get back there. So I've got my basting stitch, I've got my design, I am good to go. Now I'm going to take you over to the table. So I'm going to switch you back around. So if you get dizzy, we know to close our eyes. And you get to see the messy room. Hey, messy room. And I'm going to put you up a little bit higher here. Okay. So let's talk about stabilizers when you do this. There are a billion stabilizers out there. Not a billion, but there's a bunch of different kinds. So there's your cutaways, there's your tearaways, and there's your washaways, right? Well, what I like to use for my towels is a sticky tearaway. And the particular one that I'm using right now is the Embellish Sticky Tearaway. And what I like about this one is when I go to wash my towel, it is going to leave 50% of the stabilizer fibers in there. And then it's going to take away 50%. Those are going to wash away. And what that means is I'll continually have a stabilizer behind my design. Now, if you can use a wash away, but remember, all that's going to wash away. So I like to leave a little bit of stabilization behind mine. And I am using a sticky. Now you're looking at my hoop and going, whoa, that looks really weird. Because usually when we do a sticky tearaway, you'll have the sticky tearaway with the paper backing. The paper topping, and you'll hoop it all, and you'll score it and remove it. Well, since we're using the Meridian and the Altair, I kind of want to show you how to use the functionality of the scanning through the app. And if I try to hoop a towel, number one, I'm never going to be able to hoop it. So you have to float it. So if I float the towel, it covers up all my little sensors. So I learned this trick from Sarah Gallegos and I believe Linda Piccini too, and maybe even Patty Marty. This is a way to get around that. So I'm going to take my sticky stabilizer. I remove the whole piece of paper off the top, and then I stuck it to the back. So it's just hanging on to, I'm just getting onto, or sticking it onto the actual rim of the hoop. And let me see, Jackie, I keep getting a request to join, but I can't see any comments. That's weird. I know, Jackie, something weird's happening on my side. It says that you're asking to be on camera, so I'm really not sure. As long as you can hear me, you're good to go. Hear me and see me. If not, Jackie, you can log out and then log back in, and you should be fine. Okay, so again, I've got that sticky stabilizer. Now, if you're doing this on the Solaris, you would not do it this way. What you would do is hoop the whole piece of sticky with the paper topper in the hoop, and then you would hoop it like this. You would score the top layer and remove that top layer. But again, we're using the Meridian. So my next thing to do, and you can always bring this up and go over, I just don't want to clean all that off because it'll stick to it. So it's sticking fine to the back here. So I'm going to set that aside now. And now what I want to do is decide where I want my monogram. Now when you're doing towels, generally what you want to do is you want to look for the side that has the tag. And that is the side that you do not embroider on. So this is the side I will not embroider on, which means I'm going to embroider on this area that does, or this side of it that does not have that tag. So I'm going to spread it out, and what I like to do is first measure how long it is. And this one is 15 inches. So I'm going to go and find the center part of that, which is 7.5. And what I also want to recognize is if I have these guys right here, any decorative thing that's happening on the towel, because I want to go obviously above that to stitch out my design. So I am first going to measure, or see, I'm first going to see where my center line is. So it's about right there at 7.5. But, and this is my equation and my equation only, but what I'm going to do is I am going to come here to that little decorative area and shoot my ruler all the way up until it's even with that. So if you can see, and of course towels are a little weird, so let me get you a little closer to the center here. Now, I get a lot of questions is how far up are you supposed to go? To me, there's no right way or wrong way, but this is what I go. Let me grab a pen. I first look at the towel and I say, okay, this is a smaller towel. It's not like a towel it's a body towel, like the regular dry off towel. It's a hand towel. So I can go up about 2 to 3 inches. And that will be the bottom of my design. So again, it's up to me. I can go up 2 to 3 inches, and that will be the bottom of my design. So what I want to do is I'm going to choose the 2 inches, and I'll just put a little pin there just so I know that's where my 2 inches is. Now, remember when I said I have my design size, the length of it is 4.75. So half of 4.75 is, let's see, okay, so I've got that's 2, and then, oh, I'm terrible at this. So I'm just going to say it's 2, and I may be wrong, right, 2 5/8. So half of that 4.75, I'm going to call it 2 5/8. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take my ruler and go up to that 2-inch mark. I know this seems like a lot of math, and it is, and I hate math, so this is no fun for me. But it really does make a good embroidery. So I'm going to half that 4.75 to 2 5/8. If I'm wrong, you guys will let me know, I'm sure. And I'm going to put a pin right there. And I can take away this pin now. I'm getting rid of it because I don't need it anymore. And that will be the center of my design. So my design, if I've got let me get my 4.75 here. We'll just so my design is going to be about right there. So there's my 4.75, about right there on my towel. To me, that's perfect. If you like it lower, then what you're going to do when you start here is maybe start from 1 inch up. So you can really, again, this is your towels. You can do whatever you want. Now, I'm going to put that back and just get a straight line right here. And there's the point that I need to go to. Make it as straight as possible. And now I'm going to grab one of my positioning stickers. And they're sticky enough you can reuse them. And I know we get a lot with our machine, so it's really up to you. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to put this positioning sticker right there. So it's actually off to the side here. So I'm just going to say about right there. And I'll be happy with that. So there's my positioning sticker. I'm going to remove my pen. I'm going to put away my ruler. And I'm going to grab my hoop. Now at this point, what you can do is very carefully, you'll fold this in half. Because if you fold it exactly in half, you know that's your center. And then we can put it on here. But what I'm going to do, just so I can show you how cool the positioning sticker is I'm actually going to act like a really bad hooper, and I'm going to skew it a little bit. Because I want to show you what happens when we do that. I might even skew it more, because I really want you to see what happens when we do it this way. All right, so believe it or not, my hoop is straight up and down, but my design is a little, okay, so you can see what's happening. You can see how straight I am not, but that's why the positioning sticker's there. So I'm going to take now, and since I'm using the meridian and the Altair, look how off that is. I don't care. I've got an awesome machine that's going to fix that. So now what I'm going to do, since I've got the meridian or Altair, is I am just going to line this up the way it's supposed to go. I'm not pushing this down in. I'm just setting it on top of the hoop. Now make sure you're straight. And I think I'm pretty darn straight with just setting that down. And now, let me get that right there. And again, if you're just joining on, I know this is crooked. Don't worry about it. Okay, now I'm going to go grab my iPad. So I've got it right here. And we're going to go find our IQ positioning app. I'm going to tap that. And now I'm going to go to Embroidery, photo frame for easy positioning. But I have to do one more thing to use the app. So as you see, you can see there's my my towel right there, and it says hold your blah 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 blah. But I'm not just using the camera, or I am going to use the sticker also. So down here, down here where it says easy and advanced, tap the advanced, and now it's going to say affix the positioning sticker at the embroidery location, and I'll say okay. And then what I'm going to do is come up here. I know you won't be able to see this, but I'm going to come up here and take my picture like you normally would. Okay? And notice, oh my goodness, notice, I keep getting notifications here, that my little guy is crooked. That's okay. I'm going to hit send to the machine, say okay, and now I'm going to turn you back to the machine, so get ready, here we go. And let's get you guys back in a good view here. And it's going to say, okay, Anna, the image was sent from the mobile app. You ready? I'm going to say okay. And I want you to watch what happens to the V. Oh, and it says now it's too big. Well, that's probably my fault, right? So I'm going to push okay, and I'll go fix it. But I really want to do it kind of awkwardly for you guys. Maybe I'll make this guy a little bit smaller. And I'll go do that again. So let's do that. Let me go and make him a little bit smaller. So I'm going to have to go back. Oops, what was that? Oh, you know what that was? That was my basting box. That's why I'm out of the, I'm going to delete that off. That's why it wasn't big enough to fit in there, is because of basting. So what I'm going to do is actually, so I can make sure I stay in the same hoop, I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. I mean, it's not going to be a huge deal. So that way when I go to embroidery and I go put my basting box around, I'm definitely within my rights here. And I know I sized it or I measured it for whatever, but it'll be fine. So really quickly, just keep your eye on that. I'm going to retake that picture. Go to advanced. Send to the machine. And there she is. Okay, let's try this again. Y'all ready? Okay, drum roll. Okay, let's see what's going to happen to that V. Oh, now it's being precious. It wants me to put the frame on. Now what I want you to notice is I did not put that top frame on. I'm going to slide it on there, and so you can see it's just my material and the hoop. Get everything out of the way. Remember, it's all cockeyed. I'm going to push OK. And now what it's going to say is align the LED pointer, because your machine has an LED light, with the center of the embroidery positioning mark, and then push OK. So I'm going to use these little nodules here. And let's see, I don't know if you guys can see my little red dot, but what I'm going to do is do what it tells me to do. And I'm not off by much. So I'm going to line that up, push OK. And now, when I go to stitch my design, it should be straight. Let's see. One second. So now my little sticker is on here. I'm going to tap that. And let's see, can I go anywhere on here? This is not working. So, come on, okay. Okay. For some reason, where am I pushing the line up to? So what it is, Lynn, is there will be a little red dot that shows up, and there you'll want to match it up with that little dot in the center of the big circle. Okay, come on. Maybe I have to take the picture again. Hold on one second. You know what I think I forgot to tell you guys? Let's see, is then I need to go back and take that picture again. You know what? I haven't done this in a long time, so we'll learn together. So give me a second. Let's try this one more time. If not, we'll move on. Oh, gotta attach the frame again. Nothing like making a mistake. But I'll go back through this process. Okay, I'm going to align that LED light. And it's really hard to see. Okay. Okay, so the thing that I'm noticing is it did not do what I want it to do. So I am off on a step somewhere. So can you see? Lynn says, I understand the red dot has to be on the dot. Do you move the towel or the, oh, no, you use the little buttons that it tells you to, they had little buttons right down here and you move those. So what should happen, just so you guys know, and it could be because I have this basting box around that it won't let me turn, but this guy right here, so if I were to take and move it right here and then rotate it a little bit, this is what, ooh, that's too much. That's what's supposed to happen. And I need to go back and, how am I aligning it? Very badly, Gail. Very badly. So, how about we do this? I am going to go back and return. Because I am missing a step and I don't know where I'm missing the step at. So I'll make another video once I figure it out. And I'm going to quickly rehoop this so we can move on. So I am, you know, I'm not past saying I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it wrong. So let me just quickly get this straight. And I'm going to use the same technique except for I am actually doing it straight. So I am, you meant what, how am I, yeah, well here, I'm going to show you again because I did just go and rehoop this as straight as possible. I was trying to show you guys that what will happen, and I can show you on the Solaris because that's a real quick, easy one to do, is if you hoop crooked with this little guy, let's say like I was a moment ago, what it will do is it'll scan and look for this little guy, this little sticker, and it'll turn the design to match that, so when you unhoop your design, everything will be perfectly straight. So that's what I was trying to get it to do, but you know, details happen, right? Okay, so let me show you, Gail, what you were asking. Hey, Teresa, it's a circus in here. Okay, I don't think you can, oh, you can barely see the red dot there. Okay, so Gail and Lynn, you asked me the same question, so I'm going to come over here, and you saw the red light. You're going to get this screen right here. I lost about half of you guys. And what I'm going to do is use these buttons right here to move, and let's get back close there. Let's get like a little needle cam. To move that dot, and you'll see it just move in, I mean, baby increments. I think I need to come down a little bit more. I shouldn't be watching the camera, I should be watching it. Okay, that's pretty good. Yes, Teresa, I am using the Meridian right now. Okay, so we've got that. We're centered, everything we need is good. I'm going to put that away. Now let's talk about toppers. Okay? So toppers are very important when you're doing a towel that has loft or minky or anything like that. I'm going to grab both of my toppers and let's talk about them. Generally, there are two types of toppers. There is a wash away, which means after you're done stitching, it'll wash away from behind the stitching. And then there's one that is called a heat away topper. And you'll know the difference. It feels a little bit different. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit different texture. I know it's hard to see. But this one literally is heat away. And what that means is that if I am done with my embroidery, I rip all this away. And if I see little bitty baby pieces of it, I can take the tip of a warm iron to it and it'll bead up and go away. However, what happens with this is when you do your embroidery on this, this will stay underneath the embroidery forever. Even a high heat dryer won't make it go away. It has to be the high heat of an iron. Now, this is what I choose for towels. So let's think about it. So we need something on top to protect or to keep these little loops coming back through our embroidery. I call those pokies. Those little pokies can come back through. Have you ever had that happen? Well, if you use a heat away topper and to do your design, it'll stay underneath the stitching. So it's a barrier in between the pile, the loft, whatever you want to call it, and the embroidery stitches forever. So your embroidery is always going to look beautiful. If I use a wash away, your embroidery is going to look great until it's washed. And then you have the ability for, once all this washes away, for those little loops to pop back through your embroidery. So me personally, for towels or minky or anything plush, I use a heat away topper. And so I'm going to place that down, and then I'm going to grab some tape and tape it in place. So I like the Embroidery Perfection tape. It's one of my favorites. Where do we get Heat Away Topper? Your dealer should have it. There's all brands out there. So there's like the Floriani, there's Embellish, I'm sure OESD makes some. All the brands should have a Heat Away Topper. Okay, so now I've got my thread up top. And when I go to look at my screen, I'm going to see, okay, here is my basting stitch, and what that's going to do is tack down that topper, because topper has a mind of its own. It has a total mind of its own. It'll get caught everywhere. Priscilla says, what about knockdown stitches? Well, we don't have the ability to add knockdown stitches into here, so you would have to do that in a software, but you could totally do that. But you also would want a topper, because even when you're knocking down those stitches, you're still going to have this pile or that fluff from Minky poking through, so I would still use a topper. So our first one's going to be a tack down, or excuse me, a basting stitch, and then the next color will be my V. So the little trick that we learned earlier this week from that awesome video that Jackie posted is if you take, now sometimes if you've ever used a basting stitch, they're very, very big stitches. And what happens is if your basting stitch is not catching, it's because the stitch is so large when it first starts out with, so it's not really picking up the bobbin thread. But the little trick, and I mean it's the easiest trick in the world that we learned this week, was if you take your top thread and just hold it out here, drop your foot, and then hold it for a second, then your basting stitch will be there. And I thought that was genius. So let me hit stop, because do you see what happened? My tape got stuck underneath the foot. And that's my fault. My piece was not big enough. So I'm going to first cut my thread. And I broke my needle. Ooh! That's exciting. So let's get that out from the foot. Super easy fix. And let's put a new needle in, because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen today. So I've got my little tool here. There we go. Get that one out and put a new one in. So I am using the Class A needles. I really like those, I'm finding out. Nothing like everything going wrong when you're teaching a class. And give it a little tighten. And then, guys, when you change your needle, I always suggest going ahead and redoing the top thread, rethreading that. It's just a safety, because why not? What's it gonna hurt? Now my basting stitch, I am going to kind of skip over most of it and just let it do its thing here. Now, the cool thing about this tape, oh, I got caught again. Guys, you're getting to see me do everything wrong today. And that's why we tape. Okay. How about we just skip that step at all and go ahead and laugh, if you will. I'd love for you to laugh at me right now. Okay, so I'm just going to hold it down. Normally, you would use a way bigger piece than I put down on here, and you would make sure your tape is out of the way. But I got the top part. The top part's down, yeah. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and let that letter stitch. I'm just going to hold this for just a moment. And then we'll talk about finishing it up. So that's just going to stitch out for a moment. And while that's stitching, I'll take this tape off there. I'm going to, let's see. Lou Ann says, I'm glad you're having some things happen or go wrong because I know it'll happen to me. Seeing you work through it is an education. Oh, I love you, Lou Ann. You're my favorite today. Yeah, I mean, stuff happens, right? I mean, you can't help it. So you just move on from it. Yeah, Bonnie. Mine are a lot more. I have those days all the time, but I won't let it get me down. There's worse things in life. But we just keep moving on. Now, these fonts in here are really nice. They're really thick. So this is going to look really good even when I'm done. Or excuse me, even after the many, many washings. So we're going to come here. We're going to make sure that doesn't get caught. Might draw some blood. Now, if you ever do, I never suggest putting your hands there, but if you happen to, just be careful not to get really close to the needle. We all know that. Things happen, and I have seen some terrible things happen, like needles going through fingers, and so I haven't like physically seen it. I've seen it like on pictures and stuff. So just be very, very careful. I do not suggest it. I really suggest a big enough piece of topper with a lot of tape hanging onto it, and then just go about your business. So this will just be just another moment. Good question. So, Ernestine says, what happens if your design stitches in your tape? With this tape, it tears away really nicely. It's made for embroiderers. So you can rip it away. Of course, there might be a little underneath your embroidery design, but it's not going to affect anything, really. So it's fine. I've had that happen to me, and I'm just like, eh. But you do want to keep it as far away from it as possible. Mine got a little bit of it over there, but I think it's such a little bitty piece that I wouldn't even worry about it. So that's why I say maybe a bigger piece further out. I was just trying to conserve, and I am terrible at conserving. So I'm way better at wasting. I should have just cut me a big old hunk. But oh well. So yeah, so this is, again, I'll just kind of go through it quickly. The stabilizer I like to use is a sticky tearaway. My topper is a heat away topper. And again, the reason is because it's going to stay behind those stitches forever and not allow these little bitty loops to come through. And again, it works great for minky, for fur, for anything fluffy that you're going to embroider on. It works really great for all of that. So we're almost done here. And so anybody who's new to embroidering, if you go back and you're just joining on and you go back and rewatch this, you're going to see me make a lot of mistakes, which is awesome because you get to learn from my mistakes. Oh, that's so pretty. I love gray and teal together. Well, we're almost done. So again, this font is built in, and it's under the big fonts, not the little fonts. And I've actually stitched them out quite a lot. They're really pretty. All right, the race is almost over. And we won. Woo! All right. Okay, so my monogram is all done, and I'm going to remove it from the hoop and take it back to my table. So I'm going to take you back to the table. So here we go. So if you get dizzy, close your eyes for a moment. There we go. Okay, I'm going to raise you up a little bit so you can see much better. All right, so now I have my design done. And if my basting stitch would have completed all the way around, the first thing you want to do is go in there and remove that basting stitch. So usually it's so big you can usually just kind of rip it right out. Just like that. And remember, this is sticky, so we're going to start gently pulling it away. But see how it held up really good in the hoop without using a top hoop? I'm going to take that out. Now, from the back side, you want to be really careful when you are using a tearaway on anything when you're removing it. I have seen so much in my little short career, people just ripping it away. Now, what you're doing when you're doing that, what happens is you're stressing those stitches. So I would stay away from doing it that way if I could. So what I like to do, I'm just going to take some hunks off here, is I come in here and hold my fingers on the stitches, and then I start gently tearing it away. Now, if you're finding that it is sticking to, because it'll stick to the little, or stick to the towel, and that's okay. Because what you can do, or I'll show you what you can do here in a moment. So I'm going to gingerly start pulling this away, pulling this away. Okay, Ernestine, I have seen some embroidered towels that you really can't see the design after you've washed. That goes back to your topper. So if you use a heat away topper, it's going to keep the stitches above that pile. So I would use a heat away topper. Now some of the now there's tons of monograms out there. And what you want to be careful of when you do monograms on towels is you've seen the ones that are the scrolly ones, but they're really tiny, 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 like little bitty lines. Go for a thicker font for towels. If you try to use those thinner fonts on there, then that's just it. You're going to have a hard time. So now what you can do, especially with this tearaway, is I can spray it really good with water, and I can start going in there with something and start picking it off, and it's going to come right up. How nice is that? So that way that helps you get through some of that. Let's get this piece, and that was just water. And then I can, really take my time and go and pick all that stuff up. But let's get this one out. And for like little tiny areas, I generally leave it. So it's up to you. Okay, so I'm happy with my back there. I would probably go back and clean it up a little bit more, but you saw what I did. All I did was start removing it, and then to help, I moistened it, and that helps remove or release the sticky a little bit so you can pull it up. Now let's go to the front. I'm going to use that same idea of not yanking on my on my topper this time. So let's gently pull this up where the tape is, and I'm going to take my thumb and just kind of hold in place, and it's going to rip away nicely for me. If it doesn't, if I have a little area that doesn't rip away, and that's generally when you end up leaving a lot of stuff behind, is when you yank it. So if you go slow, you're going to have a lot less stuff to clean up because it's perforated naturally by the stitching. So I'm just gently going through there and taking it off. There we go. Oh, pretty. Now I have this little guy in here, and sometimes this is really hard to get into. So what I will do, if I can find them, is I have a teeny pair of little scissors here, and I'll just kind of poke in there and give it a little snip, and then that way I can come back with like a pair of tweezers or something and pull that right off. And then right here too, I'll just kind of poke that in there, give it a little snip. Now I'm only picking up the stabilizer. Give it a little snip, grab a pair of tweezers, and I've got that off. And now I have got a beautiful embroidered towel. Let's see here. Let's make sure I got it even with all the hubbub. I think that looks really good. So there you go. So I didn't have to do anything different, or I didn't have to add any stitches. I didn't have to do anything. I just used a heat away topper and a sticky tearaway on the back. So again, I am never the end all be all. So you can do whatever stabilizers you like. But I think of washaways as washaways. So to me, that means it's going to wash completely away. And so I want to be able to keep that this pretty for the rest of its life. So why would I want the stabilizer to wash away? Just my thoughts. And even here, remember, you have the possibility if you use a wash away topper. Where is it? Wash away topper. Now, where would you use wash away toppers? It's okay to use this like on clothes, or if you're doing in the hoop lace and stuff like that. Totally, it's great stuff. I use it a lot. So yeah, so hopefully you learned a little bit of something. And yeah, so let me hold on, you guys hold on. This is what we're doing on Sunday. Yay, it came out so cute. I know it's backwards to you. However, we're gonna talk about having fun with fonts and built-in designs. And I know a lot of you asked me about the little designs I used, and I did do this one on the Solaris. You do have this witch design in your Meridian and Altair and a cute cauldron. I was like, oh, because I would have loved the cauldron better than this. So yeah, so this will be really cute, and I'm gonna make, I think what we'll do is we'll do a contest with this one. So I'll talk about that more on Sunday. And then I want to do like, I think I want to do one for every holiday now. I'm obsessed with this. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you Sunday. So as always, if you have questions, let me know. I will work on that placement sticker and maybe do another video for that. Y'all have a great day, evening, and yeah, see you soon. Bye, guys.